At this moment, Xiao Yan's face was filled with solemnity. He had not expected that during the time he was fusing with the plane embryo, such drastic changes had occurred in the outside world, picking up from before they had arrived so quickly. At the instant the white jade token in the Black Earth Emperor's hand shattered, Xiao Yan had already realized that experts of the extraterritorial Fiend clans would be summoned here. However, he had never anticipated that these fiendish forces would arrive at such astonishing speed. From millions of miles beyond the Dou Qi World, a terrifying power surged forth like a raging tide. Despite the immense distance, this force was already enough to make the entire Dou Qi World tremble. At this moment, Xiao Yan's figure vanished from where he stood. Far beyond millions of miles upon the primal Dou Qi continent, his figure reappeared. He knew that a super expert from the Fiend clans was about to descend here. Meanwhile, all the experts across the Dou Qi world were struck with fear by this sudden and overwhelming fluctuation. Could it be that some terrifying existence was about to arrive? Every expert tensed up. After a few minutes, a shocking scene unfolded. The very firmament of the Dou Qi world seemed unable to withstand the pressure, and it began to collapse downward violently. Above Xiao Yan's head, a massive stretch of sky spanning millions of zhang shattered apart, revealing an endless abyss of darkness. From within that darkness, terrifying torrents of energy surged outward. However, Xiao Yan's attention was completely focused on a white-robed figure outside the Dou Qi world. If the Black Earth Emperor represented darkness, then this fiend could perhaps be called the White Earth Emperor. It seems the Black Emperor has fallen into your hands. The white figure hovered outside the Dou Qi world, his gaze sweeping across the entire plane before locking onto Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's expression grew even more serious. This White Earth Emperor was truly cunning. He chose to remain outside the plane instead of entering it. Clearly, he knew Xiao Yan's identity as the Plane Master. Moreover, his strength was comparable to a mid-stage Earth Supreme, even stronger than Xiao Yan himself. This was undoubtedly a troublesome situation. If the White Earth Emperor entered the Dou Qi world, he would not be Xiao Yan's match. But if Xiao Yan left the plane to fight him, he would be at a disadvantage. And if the White Earth Emperor launched attacks from outside, Xiao Yan could only defend passively. Just as Xiao Yan was troubled by this dilemma, both he and the White Earth Emperor suddenly froze, because they both sensed it. Another extremely terrifying energy was rapidly approaching. This aura did not belong to the fiends, but was pure spiritual energy from the Great Thousand World, and its level far surpassed Earth Supreme. It was a Heaven Supreme expert. Damn it! The White Earth Emperor cursed, unable to hide the fear in his voice. He had just arrived, yet he was already forced to retreat. Without hesitation, he turned and fled away from the Dou Qi world. He knew very well, a Heaven Supreme from the Great Thousand World would never let an extraterritorial emperor like him escape. However, just as he attempted to flee, the spatial currents within hundreds of thousands of miles around him suddenly froze. It was as if time itself had been forcibly halted. And along with it, the White Earth Emperor's body was also frozen in place. Suddenly, a cold snort echoed. Then, to his utter terror, a white-robed elder slowly appeared before him. Xiao Yan was slightly startled upon seeing this figure. This elder was not unfamiliar to him. He was the Grand Elder of the Western Heaven Hall, Wu Wanlong, who had once helped him reclaim Kai Lin from Shengshu Palace in the Central Heaven continent. "You vile creatures! All of you deserve to die." Wu Wanlong's expression was extremely grave. Without giving the White Earth Emperor any chance to react, he raised his palm and struck down. The White Earth Emperor didn't even have time to let out a scream before his aura was completely obliterated. Even the evil spirit within his body was annihilated in an instant. Seeing this, Xiao Yan immediately approached and respectfully bowed. "This junior Xiao Yan greets senior Wu Wanlong. May I ask why senior has come here?" Wu Wanlong spoke in a low, steady voice. "I sensed your aura from a great distance, so I came here." Xiao Yan was momentarily taken aback. The lower plane was vast, endless, beyond imagination, its territories scattered like dust across the void. And yet, Wu Wanlong had been able to locate him with precision from so far away. That was no ordinary feat, far too coincidental. A faint crease appeared between Xiaoyan's brows, as if reading his thoughts. Wu Wanlong calmly added, "I made use of a detection-type divine artifact bestowed upon me by the Hall Master." Xiaoyan's confusion only deepened. A divine artifact, specifically used to search for him. That alone was already unusual. But more importantly, why would such a powerful figure go to such lengths just to find him? A subtle sense of unease began to rise in his heart. Suppressing it, Xiaoyan asked in a serious tone, "Then, what is Senior's purpose in coming here?" For a brief moment, Wu Wanlong fell silent. The surrounding void seemed to grow heavier. Then, "A great calamity has descended upon the lower plane." His voice was no longer calm. There was a faint tremor within it, one that could not be concealed. Xiaoyan's expression instantly hardened. Wu Wanlong slowly continued. Within the countless lower plane worlds, 7 great alliances had once stood as pillars. The Western Heaven Hall, the Sword Domain, the Guardian Realm, the Land of Myriad Tombs, the Holy Alliance, the Great Thousand Alliance, and the Heavenly Palace. Each name echoed like thunder in the silent void, carrying immense weight and authority. They were the true rulers of the lower plane forces that even peak experts would not dare provoke lightly. But then, Wu Wanlong's voice turned heavy. "From this moment onward, there will only be 5. A suffocating silence followed. It felt as though even space itself had frozen. Then word by word he said, "The Guardian Realm and the Holy Alliance have both been completely annihilated." A terrifying chill swept through the void. "By the extraterritorial Fiend clans." "What?" Xiaoyan's pupils shrank violently. His entire body stiffened as if struck by lightning. Shock surged through him like a storm. "What do you mean by that, Senior?" His voice could no longer remain calm. "The Guardian Realm and the Holy Alliance. Those are existences comparable to the top ancient clans of the Great Thousand World. They possess deep foundations accumulated over countless years. Between them, they have at least 5 or 6 Heaven Supremes guarding them." Each word grew heavier, each sentence more unbelievable than the last. How could they possibly just vanish like that? Xiaoyan's fists clenched tightly. His mind was in turmoil. 2 colossal forces erased, not defeated, not weakened, but completely destroyed. No traces left behind. If that was true, then the strength of the extraterritorial Fiend clans had already reached a level far beyond what he had imagined. And perhaps this was only the beginning. And to destroy them, the Fiends must have mobilized on a massive scale. How could the other alliances not notice anything? Wu Wanlong sighed. The other 5 alliances were all restrained by Heaven Emperor-level experts of the Fiends. The Fiends deployed over a dozen Heaven Emperor-level experts and hundreds of Earth Emperor-level Fiends. The Hall Master personally held off a High Heaven Emperor and ordered me to reinforce the Guardian Realm. But by the time I arrived, it was already in ruins. Xiaoyan hurriedly asked, "What about the Realm Lord of the Guardian Realm?" "I do not know. As for the Holy Alliance, I just received news their fate is the same." Wu Wanlong sighed again. "Little friend Xiaoyan, the battlefield between the Guardian Realm and the Fiends is not far from here, only separated by a few hundred lower planes. When I arrived, the Guardian Realm had already been destroyed. Worried about your safety, I used the detection divine artifact to search, and unexpectedly found you nearby, so I came immediately." Xiaoyan said gratefully, "Many thanks for Senior's concern. If not for your timely arrival, that Earth Emperor's attack would indeed have been troublesome." Wu Wanlong shook his head helplessly. "As long as those fiends are not eradicated, neither the Great Thousand World nor the lower planes will ever know peace." He then looked at Xiaoyan and said, "Seeing that you are safe, I am relieved. I do not know the outcome of the Hall Master's battle against the High Heaven Emperor. Since everything is fine here, I will return to the Western Heaven Hall. Take care of yourself, little friend Xiaoyan." The lower planes will only grow more chaotic from now on. As his voice faded, Wu Wanlong's figure vanished into the boundless darkness. At this moment, Xiaoyan's expression grew even more solemn. He had not expected that during his fusion with the plane embryo, such a massive upheaval had occurred in the outside world. The 7 great alliances had now become 5, and the war against the extraterritorial Fiend clans would only become more severe from here on. Facing the repeated trials of the plane embryo, Xiaoyan's firm answers finally earned its recognition. Picking up from before, after Wu Wanlong left, Xiaoyan immediately returned to the Dou Qi World. After all, he still had an extremely important task to complete there, to obtain the final 10% of plane compatibility. At this moment, countless astonished gazes were fixed upon Xiaoyan as he slowly descended from the sky. In their eyes, Xiaoyan had truly become a godlike existence. He had effortlessly slain more than a dozen demon emperors comparable to Dou Di experts, and then easily annihilated the Black Earth Emperor. Even if the Heavenly Emperor were given 10 times his power, he might not be able to achieve such feats. Immediately after, everyone knelt down in reverence. Even the Heavenly Emperor and the others were no exception. They now fully understood Xiaoyan's identity. A plane master was an existence that stood above the plane itself. On the Xiao clan continent, Xiao Tianshen and the others could no longer conceal their excitement. Joy spread across their faces, their eyes filled with anticipation and pride, because they all understood one undeniable truth. Xiaoyan was without question a member of the Xiao clan, even if he came from another world, even if his origins lay beyond their understanding. His blood, his name, his destiny, all belonged to the Xiao clan, and that alone was enough. In the distant ancient era, the Xiao clan that existed across countless fragmented worlds had once been a single unified entity, a supreme clan that stood at the very peak of existence. Only later, due to unknown upheavals and catastrophic changes, did the world shatter, splitting into innumerable fragments, scattering the clan across different planes of existence. But now, according to Xiaoyan himself, the fragmented worlds would one day be merged once more. When that day came, all the scattered branches of the Xiao clan would reunite. The ancient glory of the Xiao clan would descend upon the world once again. And with Xiaoyan's current identity, power, and influence, there was no doubt. The Xiao clan would rise above all others, becoming the undisputed leader of all clans. A supreme existence. Meanwhile, high above the heavens, at a height of 100,000 zhang, Xiaoyan sat cross-legged in mid-air. The winds of the void howled softly around him, yet not a single strand of his hair was disturbed. He appeared calm, yet carried an aura that seemed to suppress the very sky. His gaze slowly lowered, falling upon the vast world beneath him. Mountains, rivers, continents, everything lay within his sight. After a long moment of silence, he finally spoke. Plain embryo. His voice was soft, yet it echoed throughout heaven and earth like an unbreakable decree. Can you come out and speak with me? The moment his words fell, the entire world seemed to grow still. No wind, no sound, only an oppressive silence filled the heavens. Below, countless people lifted their heads in confusion. Their eyes were filled with doubt. Who was he speaking to? There was no one before him. And yet, he spoke as if addressing an unseen existence. Time passed slowly. 1 breath, 2 breaths. Then, space rippled. A faint distortion appeared before Xiaoyan, as if the fabric of reality itself had been gently pulled apart. From within that distortion, a figure slowly emerged. It was a boy clad in white robes. His appearance was calm and pure, his eyes deep and ancient, as though they contained the rise and fall of countless worlds. He stood quietly before Xiaoyan, as if he had always been there. Long time no see. Xiaoyan smiled faintly. There was no surprise in his expression, only a trace of familiarity, because this was not their first meeting. Years ago, when Xiaoyan had begun comprehending the mysteries of the fragmented worlds, the plane embryo, The very core and origin of those worlds had gradually merged into his body, becoming one with him. The boy standing before him now was not a separate being. It was merely a manifestation, a projection of the plain embryo that had stepped out from within Xiaoyan himself, a reflection of the power he now carried, and perhaps a will that had yet to be fully understood. And the power Xiaoyan had used earlier came precisely from this plain embryo. In just 3 to 4 years, our compatibility has already reached 95%. That's much faster than I expected, the boy said calmly. Previously, their compatibility had only been 90%. Now it had increased by another 5%, because Xiaoyan had slain those demon emperors. That was something Xiaoyan wanted to do, and also something the plain embryo wanted to do. On that point, they were perfectly aligned. Faster than you expected, so our compatibility is still not enough. Xiaoyan looked at the plain embryo and said, "To reach a higher level, it means what I think is what you think, and what I do is what you foresee correct." The plain embryo replied, "In the entire lower plane world, there are roughly 10 to 20,000 plane masters. Among them, those with compatibility above 70% number, no more than a dozen. Those above 90%, including you, there are only 3. Currently, the one with the highest compatibility is the alliance leader of the Great Thousand Alliance, Nantianzi. His plane is also one of the 10 supergrade lower planes. His compatibility has exceeded 99%, yet it still hasn't reached 100%. The boy paused before continuing. "Actually, I think you don't need to completely fuse with me. Although my body has shattered into hundreds of fragmented worlds, in essence, I am still one whole. With 95% compatibility, you are already second only to that person. And you know the price of 100% fusion." Xiaoyan replied calmly, "If the plane exists, the plane master exists. If the plane is destroyed, the plane master vanishes into nothingness." Trying to persuade a plane master like this doesn't seem like something the plane embryo should do. The plane embryo said again, "There was once a heaven supreme from the Great Thousand World who destroyed a lower plane with a single strike. Can you imagine that outcome? As long as I remain, this Dou Qi World will not be destroyed." Xiaoyan's voice was filled with unwavering determination. The plane embryo asked, "Is it because of the Dragon Emperor's grand wish? You choose to fuse with me for the sake of others, but that cannot achieve 100% compatibility." Xiaoyan gazed at it and said, "It has nothing to do with others. I am a part of this Dou Qi world. Naturally, I live for it and die for it. Or rather, to protect everything, to protect countless living beings. I am willing to become one with heaven and earth, to completely piece together the fragments of the ancient Dou Qi world, and become every drop of water, every grain of sand within it." The plain embryo asked once more, "Even if it means dying to protect just a grain of sand, would you still be willing?" A faint smile appeared on its lips. What it did not tell Xiaoyan was that his heartfelt declaration had already raised their compatibility to 98%. "I will not die. And if the Dou Qi world is destroyed, it will not be destroyed either." "Good." Xiaoyan's answer finally earned the plain embryo's approval. Its earlier persuasion had merely been a test, and now Xiaoyan's resolve had given it the answer. At this moment, their compatibility had reached 99%. "You wish to merge all fragmented worlds. I cannot give you the power to do so, but I do have the method." The plain embryo finally spoke the words that made Xiaoyan's heart surge with excitement. "No matter how difficult it is, I will accomplish it. For that, even if you must give up your own existence, would you still be willing?" "I will not give up my existence, just as I will not give up this plane." Hearing those words, a long-suppressed tension finally melted away. A relieved, almost fragile smile slowly spread across the boy's face, as if he had been carrying the weight of countless worlds upon his shoulders, and at last someone had acknowledged his burden. In the next instant, a brilliant, almost divine light began to radiate from his youthful body. It was not merely light, it was pure, boundless energy overflowing with an ancient, unfathomable power. The radiance expanded rapidly, spreading in all directions, illuminating every corner of existence. Darkness retreated. Space trembled. Even the laws of the world seemed to bow before it. In that case, his voice echoed calm, yet carrying an authority that seemed to transcend time itself. I shall grant you the method to merge all fragmented worlds. There was a brief pause, a silence so profound that even the flow of time appeared to halt. Whether you succeed or not will depend entirely on you. Before the final trace of his voice could fully fade into the void, his body had already dissolved, transforming into countless streams of dazzling light, as though he himself had become one with the very essence of the universe. At that moment, the entire world before Xiaoyan began to distort. The scenery twisted, stretched, and blurred, as if reality itself was being rewritten. Colors merged into one another, space collapsed and reformed, and all sense of direction vanished. Time lost meaning. It could have been a fleeting second or an eternity. Then, everything went silent. After an unknown period, when Xiaoyan finally regained his senses, he realized he was no longer in the world he once knew. He stood within a chaotic expanse. There was no sky, no ground, no boundaries, only an endless void filled with disorder and mystery. His gaze slowly swept across the surroundings, and what he saw made his pupils contract sharply. Floating around him were countless tiny spheres of light. They drifted silently in the void, like stars scattered across a miniature universe. Some were so small they were barely visible, mere millimeters in size, flickering faintly like dying embers. Others, however, were massive, nearly a meter in diameter, radiating a dense and steady glow, as though they contained entire worlds within them. Hundreds, no thousands of these light spheres surrounded him. Xiaoyan stared at them intently. The deeper he observed, the more he felt a strange resonance stirring within his body, because within those faint glows, he could clearly sense it. Dou Qi, pure, unrefined, yet undeniably real. How is this possible? A trace of disbelief flashed across his face. How could these objects possess Dou Qi? At that very moment, a sudden fluctuation erupted from deep within his body. It was subtle, yet unmistakable. The plain embryo. It trembled slightly, as if responding to something or recognizing something. Xiaoyan frowned. His expression grew solemn as he focused his attention once more on those luminous spheres. There was something hidden within them, something far deeper than what could be seen on the surface. Without hesitation, he mobilized the power of the plane within him, his perception expanding outward like an invisible tide, silently sweeping across the countless spheres of light. And in the instant, his consciousness made contact. His heart trembled violently. His breathing stopped. His eyes widened. A realization vast and shocking surged into his mind like a tidal wave. So, that's how it is.